A fugitive fiance on the run tonight. Brian Laundrie holed up and hiding out. His parents in the spotlight. Will they face charges too? Late breaking new information coming in at this hour. I'm Susan Hendricks. A special HLN investigation on Gabby Petito starts now.
I was surprised to hear he was back without her.
My gut tells me that something bad happened.
We drove by and the gentleman was slapping the girl. He was slapping her?
We just been fighting all morning and he wouldn't let me in the car before.
This girl's terrorized.
She's holding back on saying what was happening.
The search is on for Laundrie, who has disappeared.
He should be leading this charge, and instead he's not.
Human remains were discovered.
And someone definitely killed her.
It's just, as I said, surreal.
She was standing on the sidewalk crying, and he walked back in and was like screaming at the hostess.
The FBI searching the Florida home Laundrie shares with his parents for hours.
I was surprised to hear, he lawyered up immediately.
They're hungry to find Brian Laundrie.
They believe that he came out here on Tuesday.
I believe they love each other. Or at least Gabby loves him.
Breaking new details as we come on the air tonight. The urgent manhunt for fugitive fiance Brian Laundrie. The mystery growing at this hour. Where could he be at this moment? Also, new questions about his parents. What do they really know? And could they be in trouble with the law for what they're not saying? And new video in tonight. FBI agents back at the Laundrie house today, taking articles from their home. What specifically the agents were looking for. Want to go to our reporter at the scene in North Point, Florida, Nadia Romero. And Nadia is there. Brian was last seen 12 days ago. Nadia has the details on another visit to the home today, the FBI. Nadia.
Well, Susan, just this morning we saw two FBI agents right in front of the Laundrie family home gather up something and put it in a paper bag, much like what we saw when they were executing their second search warrant for evidence.
What do we really know about Brian Laundrie and his parents? Christopher, his father, is 62 years old. His mother, Roberta, 55. They live in North Point, Florida. And according to a Florida business registry, they have run a business called Juicer Services since 2017. Christopher is listed as the CEO of that company, and according to reports, that business is run out of their home. If you go to the company's website, this is what you see. This account has been suspended. A reason was not given. And a Google preview of the website, however, says Juicer Services specializes in the sales and service of juicing equipment, wheatgrass juicers, orange juicers, and vegetable juicing equipment. Now, before opening the Florida business, multiple news reports say the couple lived in Long Island, New York. And eventually they moved to Florida. The question now, could they be in any legal trouble? They have been very quiet publicly about the case and their son's whereabouts. Want to bring in our expert panel. HLN trial correspondent Jean Casares, defense attorney, HLN legal analyst Joey Jackson, HLN contributor and criminologist Casey Jordan, retired FBI special agent Bobby Chacon. And Joey, I'll start with you on this. This is the Florida statute that seems to be at the heart of the question that states, according to the Florida statute, any person who assists the principal before the fact or gives the offender any other aid, knowing that that offender had committed a crime with the intent that the offender avoids or escapes detection, arrest, trial, or punishment, is an accessory after the fact. There does seem to be an exception, though, for parents here. Joey, in layman's terms, what does that mean? Could they face charges?
Yeah, good evening to you, Susan and panel. What it means is that we don't know, and here's why I say that, right? Every case depends on its facts, and factually, it depends what they knew and when they knew it. And so police are going to, as they have, right, attempt to gather information from them. They are, the parents, under no affirmative obligation to offer assistance to the police. They have, like anybody else, the right not to speak to anyone about anything, right? Now, let's just say, for example, and moving away from that statute for just 1 second, but let's just say, for example, that they do speak to police. And let's say also, Susan, that they provided false or misleading information. Now you have a hindering of prosecution, obstruction of justice issue. Now let's move it further than that. Let's say, for example, they did have any reason to believe that Brian Laundrie, their son, was involved. And let's say they provided material support and assistance for him to otherwise evade capture, get a head start, or something like that. Now you're in a world of hurt. And so therefore, without knowing the specific facts to identify what he told the parents, what were they specifically familiar with, what were they not familiar with, what did they know, when did they know these things, it's not really feasible at this point to say whether or not they're in any criminal trouble. But the bottom line is you don't have an obligation to speak to anyone in law enforcement, but if you do and you provide information that's improper, now you have a problem.
Gabby's father being perplexed, saying they didn't even call us, and Gabby lived there, which has many questioning a lot of things. Also, Gabby's father saying that, look, he knew that his daughter may have been in trouble. Now it's hearsay through her friends, but saying she wouldn't tell her father about any red flags. And Casey, in the court of public opinion, I've heard many people say to me, I wouldn't turn my son in if it were him. So if Brian was your son, it got us thinking, do you turn him in, and what would you say? And are they getting this advice maybe from their attorney to not say anything?
Well, of course, they're getting that advice from their attorney, but there is no moral relativity when it comes to murder, especially if it's the murder of someone you know. You know, I've done research on killers, including serial killers, who have gotten away with it. They're hiding souvenirs and photographs, even the bodies of their victims, in the house where they live with their parents. And the question comes up, how can the parents not know? And I've dubbed this the pall of denial. And it's a safe place that the parents go in their mind in the face of mounting evidence, because it's in the interest of self-preservation. So do Brian's parents really know what happened? I doubt it. I would say no, I don't think they do, because Brian is not going to tell them and let them go to that pall of denial. But he's also smart enough to believe that they will fall into any lie he tells them. They will want to believe it in the interest of self-preservation. And the bottom line is that overindulgent parents, they do this because at the heart of it, they have to face the alternative, which is that their son is a murderer and a monster. And what does that say about them? So would I turn him in if he was my son? Absolutely, I would. It's the right thing to do.
And right now, he's just charged with debit card fraud. No other charges thus far. Let's talk about the timeline, Jean. It doesn't really add up, considering all the pieces involved. And what about Brian's car?
Brian's car, meaning the silver Mustang, which I think is registered to his parents. Well, you know, there's a lot of discrepancy about that. What is being reported is that that car actually went to the nature preserve when he went on a week ago Tuesday, it'll be 2 weeks this Tuesday, to go hiking. But the reality is the FBI took it to process it, and because it made its way back to the home, if in fact it was at the nature preserve. So they processed it for about 24 hours and brought it back. But there's a lot of mystery with that car right there, and I think it's very telling, because if that car made its way back to the home from the nature preserve, Brian wasn't there, so who did it?
And Bobby, any mistakes that you've seen that stand out? What about the white van?
Well, you know, the white van is of great interest. Unfortunately, there's been such a time delay, and there was such a time delay in both reporting this crime and finding out that there was even a crime committed, that there was a lot of time to clean that van and to change that van and to, you know, get rid of any possible evidence that might have been present in that van. So, of course, you take the van, you process it the best you can, but you always know that there was a time frame when Brian returned home, his parents were there, whatever they did to kind of cover up this crime, or whatever he did to cover up this crime, he had plenty of time to do that inside that van.
So where do you think this is off, Bobby, in terms of this timeline? Should they have moved faster, or was it the parents holding back that info so no one knew?
I mean, I believe it was the parents. I mean, this is one of those horrible cases where there's not much you could have done. When he returned home, there was a time delay with her parents up in Long Island and him and his parents in Florida before they even found out, that she was missing, and so they took advantage of that time frame, and now we wonder whether or not they provided him with the means to stay, away from society longer. Did they give him cash? I would be looking at if they liquidated any assets to see if they provided him with anything that he could stay on the run for a longer period of time. And so you had this time frame that, that's why we see the credit card charge lodged, because now they still don't have the ability to lodge a murder charge against him, and they need a way to hold him. So now they have that. They did not have that before.